بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد في أولين وآخرين. اليوم هنبدأ بمحاضرة جديدة related to corporate social responsibility and business ethics course. محاضرة رقم 7. The main title of this lecture is Strategic Approaches to Improving ethical Behavior. As we explained in previous lectures, that ethical behavior becomes a must and becomes one of the main topics related to corporate social responsibility. To ensure ethical behavior, this must be adopted and formulated in the organization strategy, and this is what we are going to see in this lecture. The need for organizational ethics programs to ensure ethical behavior within business organization. You must adopt a specific organizational ethics programs. Organizations are held accountable for the conduct of their employees. Of course, every organization is responsible for the behavior and what is the shape of the employees' behavior. Without such programs, employees may not understand acceptable behavior. It will be very difficult for your employees to differentiate between acceptable one and unacceptable one. Also, organization can create unethical corporate culture, of course. Increasing pressure to succeed, rewarding the wrong behavior, this could create unethical corporate cultures in your organization. Therefore, nowadays, a lot of attention has been given for how could we increase the ethical behavior in the organization. Nowadays, shareholders demand greater ethical and social responsibility. A main reason behind the appearance of unethical behavior is what we call misconduct behavior. Misconduct, we have many root causes of misconduct. One of these root is this is a survey discussing different root causes of misconduct. They found that 52% of the sample, they believe they will be rewarded for result, not the means used to achieve them. And this is very dangerous. Because if really you believe that you are going to be rewarded for result rather than what type of mean used to achieve them, of course, this will increase the unethical behavior in your organization. Also, 51% they believe who commented on unethical behavior, they believe that the code of conduct is not taken seriously. And this also one of the main reasons behind increasing misconduct and unethical behavior in the organization. 49% of the samples, they believe that fear losing their jobs if they do not meet targets. They think that if they didn't achieve the targets, they may lose their job. So they are forced to behave unethically, and this would increase the misconduct behavior in business organization. Therefore, to avoid such a type of misconduct and to avoid the unethical behavior in the organization, there is a need for adopting a specific codes of conduct. What is a code of conduct? It's a formal statements that describe what an organization expects of its employees. This code of conduct, it reflects the board of directors and senior management desire for organizational compliance. Number two, enable us to assess key risks for the organization. When you give a look for any type of code of conduct, this code of conduct would address different issues related to, number one, policy and procedures, of course. Number two, government law and regulation. Number three, relationships with customers, suppliers, and competitors. Number four, acceptance of gifts, travel and entertainment, political contribution, expense reporting, conflicts of interest, business payment. All of these things are different issues related to codes of conduct. Therefore, it's necessary to develop and to implement a specific code of ethics. Consider area of risk and state values as well as necessary conduct. Identify values that specifically address current ethical issues. Consider values that link the organization to a stakeholder orientation. Make the code understandable by providing examples that reflect values. Communicate the code frequently in language employees can understand. Revise the code each year. By implementing those steps, you will be able to develop and implement a code of ethics. This is an example of Texas Instruments ethics quick test for testing a code of conduct and to prevent misconduct behavior. First test, is the action legal? Does it comply with our values? If you do it, will you feel bad? How will it look in the newspaper? If you know it's wrong, don't do it. If you are not sure, ask. Keep asking until you get an answer. All of these things are different quick tests to test whether the action is ethical or unethical. Who is responsible for implementing and following up what is existed in our code of conduct? We have what we call ethics officers. A main duty of the ethics officer, number one, is to assess organizational needs and risks. Number two is to develop and distribute the code of ethics. Number three, to conduct ethics training programs. Number four, establish and maintain a confidential system to respond to ethics questions. Make certain that the company is in compliance with government regulation. Monitor and audit ethics conduct. Take action when there is a code violation. Review and updating the code. From where this person, in most of cases, these ethics officers are often recruited from other positions within the organization. In most firms, they do not report directly to the board of directors. And they are responsible not only for understanding pertinent regulation, but also for understanding how to communicate and reinforce values. Also, there is a need for training and communications a good ethic. Educates employees about the firm policy, expectations, relevant laws and regulation, and general social standards. Make employees aware of available resources, support systems, and personnel who can assist with ethics and legal advice. Also can empower employees. Factors crucial to ethics training. These factors must be considered for ethics training as follows. Number one, identifying the key ethical risk area. Number two, relating ethical decisions to the organization's value and culture. Number three, communicating company codes, policy, and procedures regarding ethical business conduct, providing leadership training to model desired behavior, engaging in regular training events using a variety of educational tools, establishing manual, websites, and other communication to reinforce ethics training, evaluating and using feedback to improve training. Training and communication initiatives. These training and communication initiatives should reflect the unique characteristics of your organization, size, culture, values, management style, and employee base. Also, it should be work with strong foundation. This means that you must have a code for your ethics. You must have ethical concerns procedures. You must have line and staff involvement, and you must have an executive support. All of these things, this means that all of your employees, they must engage in exercises that involve solving ethical dilemma that relate to their job. This means that to enhance a culture of ethical behavior, you must establish system. And the main purpose of this system is to monitor and enforce ethical standards. And this could be done by getting help or assistance based on report and request assistance with ethical concern. Also, you must implement a observation and feedback. Such observation and feedback is important for determining level of adequacy in handling ethical issues. Or you could use what we call whistleblowing. Whistleblowing, it's exposing an employer's wrongdoing to outsider external environment, such as media or government agencies. A main purpose of it for getting protection for accurate exposures. Propensity to report misconduct comes at the top of this propensity to report misconduct is to notify supervisor or manager. Or second is to try to resolve the matter directly. Third one is to call the ethics or compliance hotline. Or you could notify someone outside your organization or do nothing. Those are different alternatives regarding reporting misconduct. You could start by either notify your supervisor or manager, or you will not do something. Um, Before you connect with the outsider or for practicing external whistleblowing, there are some precautions must be considered before you decide to be engaging in external whistleblowing. By answering these questions, at the end you could determine whether you are going to depend on external whistleblowing or directly notify your managers. It's important to have a continuous improvement of the ethics program, and this could be done by putting a strategy into actions, then evaluating practices to find defects, and based on the feedback you could correct this ethics program, which enable us to improve our organizational performance. The implementation of organizational ethics program, of course, leadership play a very important role in ensuring success of such a type of program. One of these rules is called transaction leaders. Transaction leaders, it's make certain that the required conduct and the procedures are implemented because they would like to transact your behavior. Transactive behavior. Transaction leaders, they make certain that the required conduct and the procedures are implemented. It requires employee to achieve a desired level of ethical performance. Of course, leader influence the corporate structure. Of course, organizational leaders use their power and influence to shape the corporate culture. What is the power? Power is important, of course. Power is important because through the power you could shape a culture of the organization, and the shaping or changing a culture of your organization, you could change a ethical behavior in this organization. What is the power? Power, it's referred to the influence that leaders have over the behavior and the decisions of subordinates. Such a type of power is one way to influence the ethical decision-making framework. But if you would like to reshape ethical decision-making framework, one of the important factor is exerting power. Actually, we have different types of power bases. We have a reward power, we have a coercive power, we have legitimate power, we have expert power, and we have referent power. The role of an ethical, a main purpose of this power is to shape a culture existed in this organization. And so it's important to shed light on the role of an ethical corporate culture. Top manager provide a strategic plan for the corporate culture. If the executives or CEO do not explicitly address the issue of the ethical culture, in this case, the culture may emerge where unethical behavior is sanctioned and rewarded. So it's very important when you are shaping the culture to ensure that this culture is supporting and enforcing all of the members within the organization to follow the ethical behavior. To be successful, ethical standards and expected behavior should be integrated throughout every organizational process. From hiring, training, compensating, and rewarding to firing. So the whole process existed in your organization. They must be, we must adopt ethical standard and expected behavior in each process existed in your organization. طب how could we change the ethical culture of an organization? We could change this by implementing the following steps. Number one, state a position or philosophy. Number two, create formal organizational system. Number three, communicate expectation through informal systems, through the leader. Reinforce policy through measurement and reward. Implement communication and education strategies. Use response to critical events to underscore commitment, avoid perception of hidden agendas. Because if people are culturally diverse and have different values, they interpret situation differently and will vary in the ethical decisions they make on the same ethical issue. So you must take in your consideration the impact of diversity on a practicing of ethical issue inside your organization because you are facing what we call variation in employee conduct. And if you give a look for employee conduct in a specific organization, if we consider this employee as a distribution, you will find that 10% of the employee, they follow their own value and belief. Why? Because they believe that their values and beliefs are superior to those of others in the company. 40% of employees actually they try to follow a company policy. 40% go along with the work groups, and 10% they try to take advantage of the situation if the penalty is less than the benefit or the risk of being caught is low. This is a variation in the employee conduct, and you must take this in your consideration in any situation related to the ethical behavior.